Hello everybody, how are you? In this example, we want to find the integration of 2 over 2 cosine power 2x minus 1 over power 2 multiplication 1 plus 10 2x all dx. We know 2 cosine power 2x minus 1, it's meaning cosine 2x. So we can simplify it, write 2 here, and this function here, this expression, write cosine 2x all power 2. Multiplication by 1 plus 10 power 10 2x, 1 plus 2x dx, and then we can write this function up here, right? 2 constant here, and cosine it's inverse about sec, so we can write sec power 2 2x, because the inverse about cosine it will be sec power 2. And write 1 plus 2, 1 plus 10, 2x in numerator. Look at here. 10 2x derivative about this function, it will be sec power 2 angle and derivative about this angle behind it. So the numerator is derivative about the numerator. Same, the result will be here ln absolute value about the numerator 1 plus 10 2x plus constant, because the derivative about 10 will be sec power 2 and derivative about this angle will be 2. So the numerator here derivative about the numerator, because derivative about 1 equals 0, and derivative about 10 2x it will be 2 sec power 2 2x. So the result will be ln absolute value 1 plus 10x plus constant. Look at this example, integration of x dot sine to x dx. We have here trigonometric function here, sine to x. So we must determine two functions. The first I will derivative it, and second I will integrate it. Okay, put y equals the first here x, and put dz equals the second function here equals sine to x, sine to x dx. Okay, and then derivative about what? This function. Integration about this function, it will be z, and derivative about this function, it will be dy equal dx. Integration about sine to x, it will be negative cosine 2x divided by derivative about this angle, it will be half. Okay, so the next step here we can write multiplication about x and this function. The result will be x multiplication by function, it will be negative x over 2 cosine to x subtract integration of multiplication about this function. Okay, negative times negative equal positive, half cosine to x dx, and then we can write negative x over 2 cosine to x, and right here half outside between integration of cosine to x. Integration about cosine, it will be what? It will be sine 2x divided by integration about this function, it will be 2. So divided by 2, it's meaning divided by 2, it's meaning multiplication by half. Okay, again write half outside here, and integration about cosine to x, it will be sine to x over 2, sine over x over 2, because the derivative about sine to x, it will be 2 cosine to x, and we can cancel 2 by 2. So the integration about cosine to x equal half sine to x, and write constant here outside. Half times half equal force, we can write force here. Okay, so the result will be negative x over 2 cosine to x plus fourth sine to x plus constant. Look at this example, integration of 4x sine to x subtract 2 cosine to x dx equal what? We can determine two function here, and 4x sine to x the first function, and second function we can using first here like y, I will put y equal, this example, y equal 4x, and dz this function. Okay, I'll solve this function in the first and second step. I will solve this function. Put here y equal 4x and dz equal sine 2x. Okay, and derivative about y, it will be dy, and 4x it will be 4dx. Integration about dz equal z, and integration about sine it will be negative cosine 2x over 2, or divided by 2. Okay, and this function I will put second. Here we are using the rule here, integration about cosine 2x, it will be sine. It's very easy, okay? But this rule I will put it here to simplify the example, okay? Understood? Okay, I will cancel this expression and write the rule here. Multiplication them, 4x times negative half cosine 2x, multiplication by them, will negative half cosine 2x dot 4x. Okay, subtract integration of multiplication by them, negative times negative equal positive, right half cosine to x multiplication by 4dx, and write this function here, negative, right here, integration of 2 cosine to x dx. Okay, understood? This step, it's very easy for you. Okay, I write this expression here, and then you can simplify it. 4 divided by 2 equal 2. It will be integration of negative here, 4 divided by 2 equal 2, and write x outside dot cosine to x plus right half here, integration about cosine to x, and first 4 divided by 2 equal 2. Don't forget it. Write 2. 4 divided by 2 equal 2, and integration about this function, write 2 outside here, cosine to x, integration about cosine, it will be sine to x divided by 2, and then we can cancel 2 by 2, subtract, write 2 here outside, 2, okay, write 2 outside, write 2 here outside, and integration about this function, cosine 2x, look at here, cosine 2x, I want to find integration about cosine, it will be sine 2x divided by 2 plus constant, and then we can cancel 2 by 2, and we have here integration about what, 4x times negative half cosine x, it will be negative 2x cosine 2x. Okay, and right here plus sine 2x, negative sine 2x plus constant, and then we can cancel 2 function here, so the result will be negative 2x cosine 2x plus constant. Understood? So in this example I let this function here and find the derivative about this function here, and you can cancel the result it by behind it here, and using the rule about the first here, 4x multiplication by this function, don't write integration here, 4x multiplication by this function here, and negative multiplication by 2 function and write integration behind it, and then the result will be negative 2x cosine 2x, cancel the result here, negative 2x cosine 2x. Look at here, integration of 3x plus 2 multiplication by sine x dx. We will put 2 functions, the first here 3x plus 2, and second function dz equal sine x dx, and derivative about y, it will be dy, and here it will be 3dx, and integration about this function, it will be z, integration about sine, it will be negative cosine x. I used the rule here, multiplication between 2 function and subtract by integration between 2 function here. Okay, write multiplication here, 3x plus 2 multiplication by this function, negative cosine x, and negative integration this function multiplication this function, negative times negative equal positive, and 3 dx times this function, it will be 3 cosine x dx. And then we can write negative outside here, 3x plus 2 cosine x plus write 3 outside. Integration about cosine, it will be sine x plus constant. If integration about 2x plus 3 multiplication by ln of x dx equals this function yz subtract integration of z dy dz, you want to find yz. In this example, we must determine two functions. The first here will be derivative. Y will be 2x plus 3 or ln of x, because we can find the derivative about ln of x. Derivative about ln of x, it will be 1 over x dx. And then we can choose the second function here, dz equal 2x plus 3. Then z integration about 2x, it will be x power 2 divided by 2 here, it will be x power 2, and 3 here, it will be 3x. He want to find yz, multiplication y and z. Okay, then you want to find what? yz. Then yz, it's meaning multiplication about ln of x and this function, multiplication between two function. Then the result will be x power 2 plus 3x multiplication by ln of x. It's the result about this example, x power 2 plus 3x plus multiplication by ln of x. And you can simplify it by write x height common factor between two terms here. So the result, we must write it. Alright. If 2x minus 1 multiplication e power 2x plus 3 dx equal yz subtract integration of z dy, then the integration about z dy equal. We want to find the integration about this. So we must choose two functions, the first here and second, 2x minus 1, and dz will be e power 2x plus 3 dx. Then dy equal dx and z equal integration about this function, it will be e power 2x plus 3 divided by derivative about this function, it will be 2. Okay, and then he won't find the integration of z dy, multiplication about two function here times them, integration 2 times half equal 1, and you can write e power 2x plus constant dx, multiplication about two function. And we can find the integration about this function to be e power 2x plus 3 divided by 2 plus constant. Then the integration of z multiplication by dy, integration about them, 2 times half, we cancel them, and integration about this function, it will be e power 2x plus 3 divided derivative about the power, here it will be 2. If each of yz is a function of x, then integration y times dz plus integration z y is equal what? It's equal y multiplication by z plus constant. Why we solve this example by this step? Because if we want to find integration about y dz, we can write here this function y, and derivative about y will be dy, and dz integration about dz equals z, and using the rule here, y times z subtract integration of z dy plus constant, and we can move it to left hand side here, move this integration here, then integration of, but here I will move it here, okay, then integration about y dz plus integration of z dy will be equal yz plus constant. So the result will be yz plus constant. Integration of x dot e power x dx, we must choose first function here y equal x, and second function dz equal ex dx, and integration about this function and derivative about this function. Derivative about y will be dy over dx, and dz it will z e power x, integration about e power x it will be e power x, and dot x multiplication about this function x multiplication e power x, subtract integration about two function here, this function e power x dx. So you can write x e power x subtract e power x plus constant, integration of x power 3 e power x dx. Put y equal x power 3 and dz equal e power x dx. Derivative about y will be dy, and here 3x power 2 dx, and integration about dz equals z e power x. Using the rule here, x power 3 multiplication e power x, subtract integration multiplication about them 3x power 2 e power x dx. Write x power 3 e power x. In this example we can divide it into parts here. First part here I will write here y and z. Y equal 3x power 2, y equal 3x power 2, and dz equal ex dx. The derivative of y here it will be 6x dx, and integration about the function it will be e power x only. Okay, so we can use the rule here. Then I can write here negative. Okay, look at here negative. In this example we can write negative here. Multiplication about them it will be 3x power 2 dot e power x, subtract integration multiplication about this function 6x and 6x e power x dx. Okay, and then we can simplify it. Negative times positive equal negative, and negative times negative equal positive, and then we can write it here x power 3 e power x, subtract 3x power 2 dot e power x, and two function here, use the rule here, y equal 6x and put dz equal e power x. Okay, and derivative of y equal 6 dx, and integration of this function it will be e power x, and using the rule 6x multiplication by e power x, and subtract integration of this function 6 e power x dx. And this function here we can write x power 3 e power x, subtract 3x power 2 e power x plus 6x here, it's 6x. okay, 6x e power x, subtract integration of this function it will be 6 e power x. We can cancel 6 e power x. You can write e power x highest common factor between all them, and the result here x power 3 subtract 3x power 2 plus 6x subtract by 6 plus constant.